What the Housing Recovery Project has sought to do has been ambitious, novel, and revolutionary in the context of resilient housing reconstruction in a small island developing state. Indeed, the HRP has served as a template for other resilient housing construction projects throughout the world. When the project was conceptualized, the target was to construct 1,700 much smaller starter homes with an individual ceiling of Eastern Caribbean dollar 50,000. To ensure that the beneficiaries of the project were able to receive larger, resilient, reinforced concrete homes, the government opted to increase the individual beneficiary grant ceiling to Eastern Caribbean dollar 125,000. This reduced the total number of houses that could be constructed under the project to 640. The COVID-19 pandemic triggered two contingent emergency response components early in the project's implementation lifetime. This required diversion of the funds from the project to provide livelihood support during the pandemic, further reducing the housing construction objectives to 420. From its inception, this project has adopted a beneficiary-driven approach to home construction, and this has been with its challenges. This means that the HRP has always endeavored to involve the beneficiaries in every step of the homeowner journey. Homes are not simply built and handed over to the beneficiaries. With technical guidance from the PIU and consideration for the spatial constraints of their land, the beneficiaries are allowed to select from up to 5 model houses, A to E. These are the types that we have on the HRP. And there's also a type F for spatially constrained sites. Correspondingly, 14 foundation configurations are applied depending on the model type and the site topography. The signatories to the contract for the construction of a home are the beneficiary and contractor. So you can see that the beneficiary is very involved in the construction process. They are one of the signatories to this contract. The beneficiary signs off on every payment certificate at the completed stages of construction. So the beneficiaries get to influence so much of the construction outcome. They even choose the color of their homes and the aesthetic features that make each HRP house an individual home, as you will see from the photos of the completed HRP homes. To date, the project has executed the signing of 376 construction contracts, and we have practical completion achieved on 309 houses. We have currently, Minister mentioned 358 homes mobilized, but we have increased this to 365. So this is a very dynamic project in which the numbers are continuously changing. The payments to constructors are made at 5 stages of construction. That is the mobilization stage, the ground floor stage, roof stage, and practical completion. And we, of course, have a 3-month defect liability period in which any defects that become apparent during the beneficiary's initial occupancy of the house are reported to the contractors, and they have to make good on those defects. HRP homes are being constructed all over Dominica, and the largest single concentration of home construction is in the Kalinago territory, where over 30% of HRP homes are being constructed. And this is for the simple reason that the housing stock of our indigenous people was most significantly affected by Hurricane Maria. The project considers factors such as the socioeconomic vulnerability, disabilities, single-parent households, the advanced age of beneficiaries, whether they have non-communicable diseases, employment status, whether the household is female-led. All of these are considered when we prioritize beneficiaries. However, there are important factors that we must also consider. For example, there is a fundamental requirement that the land on which the house is to be built must not be situated in what the project defines as a hazardous area. And that is an area where there is a significant risk of landslide, flooding, or other environmental hazard. Furthermore, beneficiaries who qualify for the project have had a home that was not just damaged, but destroyed by Hurricane Maria. And this is one of the criteria that we sometimes struggle with explaining to beneficiaries. So beneficiaries are not qualified just because their homes were damaged, but it has to be a complete destruction of the home by the hurricane. The previous home that they would have occupied would have to be less than or equal to 500 square feet. So we are building a small home, so we expect that the beneficiaries who qualify for these homes would have occupied a small home. And so the project provides replacement homes of up to 550 square feet. Applicants to the project would not qualify if they received previous housing support from the government exceeding Eastern Caribbean $10,000. And another very important criteria of the Housing Recovery Project is that the beneficiary must be able to demonstrate that they have a legal right to occupy the land. So once we've gotten all of these criteria covered for the beneficiaries, then we can move on to the construction of the home. Of course, after we have done our construction procurement process. The HRP is intended to contribute to Dominica's climate resilience and recovery plan target to ensure that 90% of the housing stock is built to resilient standard, and this is part of the government's broader pledge to develop Dominica as the world's first climate resilient country. Therefore, there are some very important technical attributes of the Housing Recovery Project, and this primarily, the homes are reinforced concrete. They either have load-bearing walls or a moment frame construction as part of their structural system. They are, of course, single-story homes because they are intended to be a starter home with a concrete roof which can allow for the homeowner to expand upwards or outwards. The foundation consists of pad footings, tie beams, and strip footings where appropriate. Now, each of these homes would have been subjected to the physical planning application process. Therefore, when considering expansion, we urge the homeowners to engage qualified professionals and to seek planning approval for their plans for future expansion. This is important to ensure that the resilience of the home is not compromised by poor quality future construction. The homes are fitted with hurricane shutters, which add additional hurricane protection, and we incorporate accessibility features such as ramps for occupants with mobility challenges. I will give you a bit of detail on our contractors and the construction process. The time for construction of an HRP home is 4 months. There was a time when it was much longer than this, but we have since been able to tighten up our construction process through filtering our contractors, so we are using the best of our cohort of contractors, and so by and large, we have reduced the construction time to approximately 4 months, with an additional 3-month defectless liability period. Each house is tendered competitively to at least 3 contractors, and the beneficiary does have a say in the contractors that are selected for this construction. The HRP currently employs a cohort of 25 local contractors. On average, each contractor employs 5 laborers. So therefore, we can say that over 300 construction workers have been employed on HRP construction sites. This does not include the plumbers, electricians, and joiners who have been subcontracted by our contractors. At the start of the project, we had 128 contractors registered with the HRP. However, less than 60 submitted bids for the construction of HRP homes. And since we have a construction filtering process by which we only use contractors who have demonstrated an ability to follow the plans and to maintain our quality standards, this is why we have arrived at 25 contractors currently. The PIU team continues to review the performance and rate our contractors. So even in future, if we find that our contractors are slipping, we might even have less contractors employed on the project. But the idea, as Minister said, is that the HRP not only provides homes, but it serves as a training ground for our contractors. They are learning valuable skills in resilient construction, how to manage contracts, and how to manage their cash flows. So we have now arrived at a cohort of contractors that we can trust to deliver good quality homes within the stipulated construction time frame for the HRP. Now, the project has faced a number of operational challenges, and these have been influenced by both local and external factors. Some of the construction-related challenges have been flow construction, inexperienced contractors who have delivered unsatisfactory construction quality, and of course, as many of you who have had to build know, the skyrocketing costs of construction materials. Material shortages and the shortage of construction labor have also conditions. So the government has responded to this challenge by making available up to 10,000 Eastern Caribbean dollars in what we consider to be a difficult site, difficult access fund for the contractors to cover the additional costs incurred by such sites. And to date, we have paid difficult access on 33 sites amounting to 279,000 EC dollars, and that is on top of the grant that has been afforded to the beneficiaries for the construction of their HRP home. Now, the current grant stands at 150,000 Eastern Caribbean dollars. It has been increased from first 125,000 and then to 140, and this is simply to account for the fact that the construction sector is dynamic, prices are changing, and we have tried to keep step with the change in prices and the realities of construction so that our contractors are not placed at a disadvantage. We have taken many decisive actions to improve the performance of the housing recovery project, including termination of the design and supervision firm in August 2023. And we have replaced the services of this firm with a cohort of local professionals whom we refer to as our alternative design and supervision team. These construction professionals have been led by our project engineer, Julian Baptist, and they have delivered much improved construction supervision. So we have been able to take HRP construction supervision fully local. As Minister said, it's strictly local with the HRP. Now, poor construction practice of a minority of our contractors has led to the termination of 27 housing contracts. And this has meant that we have incurred additional costs in retendering these contracts and mobilizing new contractors. So this has further affected the totals of the houses that we are able to construct, because something that was not factored into the project design, it was considered a grant to the beneficiary. We have had to respond to the fact that some of our contractors have not performed accordingly, and we have had to retender at increased costs to the project. Another challenge that the project has faced is the informal landholding status of many of our applicants. The HRP, with the significant intervention of the legal arm of the government, has been able to resolve 176 land tenure status cases. So almost 60% of our beneficiaries had informal land tenure. I assure you that HRP homes belong to the beneficiary, where there has been a clear and achievable path to formalizing the project's time frame. The project ends on the 30th of June, 2025. And we want you, the listening public, to remember the success stories of the Housing Recovery Project and the profound impact that the project has had on the lives of so many of our fellow Dominicans. We want you to remember that the project is an example of the government's commitment to providing resilient housing. We want you to remember that we have so far completed 309 homes, and we are on target to complete 376. We want you to remember that 176 Dominicans now have first title, securing the ownership of their properties for generations to come. We want you to remember that over 100 of our indigenous families now live in resilient homes. A total of approximately 850 Dominicans have been rehoused under the HRP. We want you to know that the government has ensured that the model plans are not copyright restricted, and the HRP model plans are available to all Dominicans who request them. We want you to remember that 25 local contractors have developed their construction management skills and built up their construction portfolios because of this project. We want you to remember that this project tells an important story of our nation's determination to rebuild better from the devastation of Hurricane Maria. Thank you.
Well, thanks to Dr. Joseph for her comprehensive report. We're happy for that level of detail, as it helps us to meet our objectives, to keep the public educated and informed about our projects which are ongoing to the benefit of the Dominican people. We will have an opportunity to ask any further follow-up questions of the representatives of the Ministry of Housing. However, at this point, we move on to Dr. Jermaine Jean-Pierre, who is the project manager for the Caribbean Digital Transformation Project.
Good morning. Honorable Ministers, Permanent Secretaries, P.S. Lancelot, my Permanent Secretary, CAPSEC. Today I'm just going to give a brief presentation on the Caribbean Digital Transformation Project. And so the Caribbean Digital Transformation Project is being implemented through a loan from the World Bank. The government of Dominica would have taken that loan to the sum of 28 million US dollars, or EC 75 million dollars, to implement the digital transformation project. Along with Dominica, the project is being implemented in 3 other islands, namely St. Lucia, Grenada, St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And there are activities or components to the project that all 4 islands are being implemented, that are being implemented by all 4 islands, and those activities are supervised and monitored by the OECS. So why did we sign on to the Caribbean Digital Transformation Project? So we wanted to create the foundation to enable digitalization, not just for government, but for the Commonwealth of Dominica as a whole. And we also wanted to improve access and adoption of digital services. We wanted to ensure that we have the digital skills needed. As you're aware, we are looking at digital economy, and so we wanted to ensure that we have not just access, but as well as the skills needed for anyone to be able to function within the digital economy. And we also want to improve on innovation, and we also want to improve on access to investment. We want to promote investment within the digital economy. The project is being implemented within 3 components, and so I will share with you some of the activities that we're doing under each of the components of the digital transformation project. So the first component is digital enabling environment. And when we speak of the digital enabling environment, what we're doing is creating the environment so that the activities that are being implemented can be done in what we call a secure manner. And for that, we would have done, one of the activities that we have done to date is to review the policies, legislation, and regulations necessary for the various activities that we're implementing. So we would have engaged a firm, a legal firm, to the sum of over 200 US dollars to review what is already existing. Sorry, 200,000 US dollars. And so the firm would have reviewed the existing legislation and make updates when necessary. And where there is no legislation, they would have drafted those. And we have gone through a process of speaking with all of the stakeholders, the ministries, agencies that are responsible or that are part of the implementation of whichever activity that we're doing. And our next step now is the review by the Attorney General's Chamber, as well as public consultation before we take those legislation to Parliament. And so we are pretty much advanced in that activity. Okay, to shop online, we want to ensure that there is an agency in place that for whatever reason or whatever situation that may arise, that you feel comfortable in knowing that there is somebody or an agency that you can go to for redress. And that's what the CERT will do. In our next component, digital government infrastructure platforms and services, and we have been focusing on specific sector activities. And one of them we have looked at is the design and development of an automated border control, eGate. And what the eGate will do is to allow for easier and faster, hassle-free and smoother process of entry and exit from Dominica. The request for proposal is out, and so if you visit our website, cardtp.gov.dm, you can actually see the requirements and submit a proposal if you are so interested. We're also looking at the integration of systems and services to ensure the automatic flow of information and data across government. And say, for instance, you wish to apply for a passport. We know the requirement for applying for a passport is you must have a birth certificate. So with the integration that we're creating between systems, you do not necessarily need to go to the civil registry to request a passport, because the passport office now has access to that information and can do their own verification. So the intent really is to create or to allow you to be able to access services more efficiently without going through the hassle of going to different ministries or agency just to get the required documents. All of the systems will be able to speak to each other, and so you go to one agency and you can get all of the requested or required information that you so need. We're also in the process of developing a new website for Discover Dominica. So by now you can tell that I'm speaking to the tourism sector, because those are some of the activities that we're working on under the tourism sector. So we're creating a new website for Discover Dominica Authority. And the key feature of that website is that all of our hotels, guest houses will be listed on that site. And so an individual wishing to book a hotel or a guest house, you could go to one place to do that. Pretty much like a time, how you call it? Yeah, one of these booking agencies that you would have gone to online in the US, and we're bringing it right here for you in Dominica with the new Discover Dominica website. So for the health sector, and this is my favorite activity, on July 23rd, 2024, the government would have signed a contract with ACS Infotech Private Limited and Manoram Info Solutions Private Limited for the design, supply, and installation of a health management and information system for the health sector in Dominica. This system will be implemented in 3 hospitals and 47 health centers. The cost of the implementation of this system is $8.5 million. Every aspect of the health sector will be digitized. So from patient administration to clinical management to accounting and billing to administration to morgue management, every single aspect will be digitized. So imagine as a patient, you go to the St. Joseph Health Center for care, and you're being referred to the Dominica China Friendship Hospital. By the time you get to the Dominica China Friendship Hospital, the doctor would have had all of your information, and what would be remaining is providing you with the care that you need. So they no longer need to ask the questions that would have been asked at the St. Joseph Health Center with this new system. And we can even go as far as saying that we speak of telemedicine. So a doctor from outside of Dominica wants to consult on your case. Access can be provided to that doctor for that information to be able to provide you with the care that is needed. So we have met with all of the doctors, nurses, staff of the primary health care, hospitals, to sensitize them on the implementation of the system. We have gotten their feedback, and we have actually created all of the system's requirement documents for the system. And our next step is to begin the whole customization of the system to tell the vendors exactly what we want and how we want it, and then to go into what we call production. And then, of course, before we get into production, we will be coming to the public on this system to hear from them. So please do listen out and look out for us when we give the notice that we'll be visiting your community to speak more to you about the health management and information system. E-services. And so we have made it easier to access services from government. Under the project, we have implemented our e-services portal. That is our web and mobile portal. It can be found at eservices.gov.dm, and it's what we call the Government of Dominica Premier Digital Services platform, designed to bring the public service directly to your fingertips. There are over 75 services on the platform which you can apply. And the cool thing about the e-services platform is you can actually apply for a service and pay for it at the same time. So, you know, in the past, you'd have gone to the ministry, apply, and then come back to the e-payment portal and pay. So we have solved that. You go to the e-services portal, you complete your form for your birth certificate, and you pay for it at the same time. We're now working to actually deliver the birth certificate to you. Right now, you have to go to the registry and collect it. And before the end of the project, life of the project, you will receive your birth certificate. Your birth certificate will be delivered directly to you. So as I said, there are 75 services that you can already apply for online on the e-services portal. We have also been working on our digital signatures and document management system. This activity is being implemented at US $1.9 million. The firms, PricewaterhouseCoopers and Ernst & Young are the implementing firms. And we are pretty much advanced with that. We have seen what the document management system will look like. We have seen what our e-cabinet system will look like. And now we're just integrating the digital signature in there. So, Minister McIntyre, when you're overseas, you could actually sign a document digitally. Our last component, digital skills and technology adoption. And this is critical to us because, as I mentioned earlier, we would say we want you to go online. We want you to be able to conduct business online. But you need to have the skills to do that. You need to be able to understand, you know, when you go on the computer, what are you seeing in front of you? And so under this component, we have been offering digital literacy skills. But to do so, we would have built or established 16 innovation hubs right across Dominica. And I will tell you where they are so that you can go to those hubs to get training. So we have the Roseau office to build, you know, our young people, they are into building apps and other, you know, systems, but they do not have the space to do so. So at the Newtown co-working space, we have created that space for them, where you, as a team, you can go in and you can work, you know, whatever project it is that you're working. So we have also created a conference center where you want to pitch an idea. We call it our pitch idea space. You want to pitch an idea to a company, but you do not have the space or the resources to do so. We have created and we are providing that space at our Newtown co-working space for that purpose. Then we have the Grand Bay Innovation Hub that's located in the Grand Bay Youth Center. We have our Canefield Innovation Hub located in the Canefield Urban Council, Maho Innovation Hub at the Maho Primary School. Then we have the La Plaine Hub, that's at the Jones Beaupierre Primary School, the Dalis Hub at the Dalis Primary School, Layo Innovation Hub at the Layo Resource Center, Cottage, Capuchin, Vekas, Thibault, Benz, and Sensi. So those are the locations of the hubs. They are open Monday to Friday, and we're now looking at weekends, and they are done. You can find them open from 8 to 4, as I said, Monday to Friday. And they offer, there is somebody there, so if you want to complete a form or something, and you need assistance, you can go to any of those innovation hubs to get the requested or required assistance that you need. So last year, under the Digital Innovation Grant Program, we distributed $997,929.55 EC to 79 applicants. So as a result of this, 79 individuals were able to digitize their business processes, purchase digital equipment, and basically move their manual business to a digital business. And we have been monitoring, and so far, they are pretty much been using the funds to get the required equipment and support that they need in their digitization process. So I said the training. So we have been supporting training for ICT professionals, not just in government. We have commenced our ComTIE training course, and so to date we have 166 citizens registered in our ComTIE IT fundamental course, and 18 citizens in our ComTIE Network Plus certification program. And ComTIE really, it's the leading certificate agency for ICT around the world. And so once you have received the ComTIE certificate, you're able to get a job basically anywhere in the world. It certifies that you have the required skills needed. So just to say that currently we are offering digital literacy training. So I mentioned the hubs, and training is ongoing at some of our innovation hubs in Maho, St. Joseph, Trafalgar. And so please do look out for the registration flyer and do register and do attend the training. And for our other hubs, we will notify you when the training will start. Okay, so there are a lot of activities that we're doing under the Digital Transformation Project. So we do have other upcoming activities. We will be supporting our SMEs, our taxi operators, by providing them with mobile card machines, so that when they're on their go, they will no longer be dependent on an individual having cash, but they can now accept credit and debit card payments. This we will be rolling out in the coming weeks. And then, of course, we will be supporting our new tax system, and we'll also be supporting our new civil registry system. So like I said, it's just a really brief summary of some of the activities that we're doing under the Caribbean Digital Transformation Project. There are quite a few more activities, but if you want to know more about the Caribbean Digital Transformation Project, you can find out about our procurement activities on our website, www.cardtp.gov.dm, and you can also contact the Project Implementation Unit at dtpu@dominica.gov.dm or 266-3840 for further information and for any procurement of upcoming activities that we will be offering. So this, in a nutshell, is some of what we're doing under the Caribbean Digital Transformation Project, and you will hear more about us and see more about us when we come to a community near you. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Jean-Pierre, for an overview of the work ongoing at the Digital Transformation Project. It sounds like quite a bit with more to come. So at this point, I would like to invite the members of the media who are here with us, including Curtis Matthew, who seems eager for the mic. Gentlemen.
Good morning to you, Zion Jura Smith, and good morning to everyone else. Good morning to you, Minister for Housing. My first question is for you, Minister for Housing. You have said that the program of housing in Dominica to provide at least 5,000 resilient homes to Dominica, it's very ambitious, and also the government is well on the way to achieving that feat. Can you explain how does the government intend to continue to provide housing to ensure that by 2030 that we will see at least 5,000 resilient homes? In terms of the communities who you intend to have homes, new homes, and things like that. So just at least enlighten us on how does the government intend to move forward? Thank you. That's the first question. Right. The other question has to do with the provision of keys to Dominicans in terms of new homes. Some people believe that the provision of keys for new homes in Dominica is based on political support for the Dominica Labour Party. Can you at least explain, and can you at least let us know how do you feel about the criticisms levied out there in terms of the provision of homes to Dominicans? I will come back with at least two more in a while. Thank you.
Curtis Matthew. Yes, the 5,000 homes by 2030, that's a span of, say, 12 years when the announcement was made. That was a very ambitious statement at the time. Very ambitious and very expensive goal. But as I've stated earlier, we've made remarkable progress. We are way past our halfway mark at this point in terms of completed homes. And when you take into consideration the other programs which we are currently working on, the rest of the HRP homes, we also have the 10 sites under the MMC project. We will make that target. We might even surpass that by 2030. And concerning the keys and political support, you know, following Hurricane Maria, the government assisted almost every household with re-roofing and repairs to their home. It was not cut along political lines. And we could clearly see that with the developments that we have made. That wasn't political, was it? And so we are continuing building homes for people, helping people, and regardless of their political affiliation, even with the World Bank, Genera can clearly state to you that they have a clear, non-political enrollment process, which is headed by the PIU and supervised by the government and the World Bank. And all the lists of the beneficiaries we've been very transparent with it. It's public knowledge. And so I don't know how more transparent that we can be at this point, but that's misinformation.
Podium, I would just like to ask you another question. It has to do with titles for homes that the government has built for Dominicans. The government made a statement 2 years ago that the titles for these homes would be made available to the landowners. Can you bring us up to date on whether, in fact, what is being done in terms of making these titles available to the homeowners?
Well, Curtis, as you know, the titling process is a very long and drawn-out and costly process, as many of you maybe had to go through the titling process with your own personal properties. And in some areas, it can be very complicated. So if, for example, you take the homes down in Pete Savan, where we have about 380 homes in a communal type of setting, we have apartments, we have people sharing their staircase,
and different areas of this. You can imagine how complicated that is to be able to provide titling for all these homes who share spaces. So it is ongoing, and the wheels are turning on this, and we are making headway where titling is concerned. Also to that, we have assisted a lot of people in regularizing them on squatted land. We have maybe past 100 this year in terms of providing titles to people who have been squatting on lands for many years, some of them 10, 20 years, and we've made a lot of progress where that is concerned.
Before my friend comes in to ask a question, will the government of Dominica review its policy on providing homes to Dominicans in terms of attaching, let's say, a fee to these homeowners? I know that has been a talking point over the last few years, but has government discussed at least attaching a fee to these homes to Dominicans?
Yes, this is something that we've been discussing, and we will implement a fee. However, we do recognize in certain areas there are some people who just can't afford, the vulnerable, the elderly, and so we will be taking them into consideration, because at the end of the day, everybody is entitled to a safe and secure home as we build resilience going forward. So yes, there will be a fee. We're reviewing it, and soon you'll be hearing about it.
One more question in relation to the housing program. Late last year, you mentioned that we would be handing over homes to the people of Scots Head. Do we have a timeline on that as yet, or?
Yeah, that is under the MMC program. We're just fine-tuning a few things. This is the next set of homes that we will be giving out. And so I would say within the next month or two, we will be ready. Okay? Are you from Scots Head?
My next question is actually for Dr. Jean-Pierre. You mentioned earlier that we were working on the legislative side of the digital transformation project. With a digital transformation project, obviously, we also it also opens the opportunity for cybercrime. Does the legislations we have that we are working on, does it cover those types of crimes?
Thank you for that question. Yes, the legislation that we're working on, it does cover cybersecurity. We are looking at the cyber crimes legislation. In addition to that, we're also looking at the data and privacy legislation, so yes.
And do you have a timeline in relation when that would probably be public?
Well, we are 3/4 of the way into the entire process. And so, as I would have mentioned earlier, we're now going through the review with the Attorney General's Chamber in preparation for public consultation and then to Parliament. So we anticipate, within the next 4 months, we will be ready.
I'd just like to go back to the Minister for Housing. And I know we are talking about the Housing Recovery Project. But, Minister, in 2022, I'm just going to read some of the things that you said in 2022. The Future Housing Program would target young professionals who may be ready for their dream homes, but have difficulty in accessing affordable financing or suitable land. You also said that the government recognized the challenges of the young professionals, and government would create an avenue to help them establish a solid foundation. I say all that to ask you, what is the sort of progress made in the Future Housing Program?
Okay. Yes, we've made some strides with that, the future housing. And in fact, we have allocated maybe over 100 subsidized lots to working professionals for those who want to build on their own. In terms of the future housing program, we have completed the subdivision plan at Warner. We have submitted it to the planning division, and we have finalized the design options for the modern resilient homes. And we have traced the road as well. And what we plan to do is invite the selected beneficiaries to be able to come and visit the site and to be able to look at the location and the lots and pick the area that they're interested in. So we are making strides with that. A project delayed is not denied. It will come, it must come.
Just before you leave the podium, I would not like to leave here without asking you about the road enhancement project or the Roseau enhancement project. I know some statements were made last year, but can you bring us up to date on what is happening right now? People are asking questions in terms of when is it going to begin and what is the progress. So, Mrs. Skerritt, please update us on the Roseau enhancement project.
We've made quite a bit of progress. As you know, we have already secured the funding with the Saudi Arabia Fund. And where we are at right now, we have already gone to tender. So this is where we are at right now. Once that is done, then the wheels are going to start moving faster.
Tell us, yes, which areas in Roseau that will certainly find improvement under this project?
Okay, well, the first street we're going to start off with, we chose one of the major arteries in Roseau, and that is Great George Street. And we've picked that area also because of how the drainage runs in Roseau. And this area is also going to be able to, that street, once we start, will also address some of the parking issues in Roseau, because it's one of the streets that is quite wide. And this project is going to actually widen the space for parking because the drains are going to be covered. So right now, as we have one side where you can park, and some of them are even riding the sidewalks, when this is done, you'll have parking on either side of this street, as well as enough space for...
Your main achievements so far as parliamentary representative for Roseau Central.
You need to give me minimum an hour, okay? Because a lot has been done. But I would say, you know, one of the critical things, and we've been trying to get this project up and running, which is the Roseau Enhancement Project. And so we have been able to get the wheels turning on this again with the securing of the funds to start this project. So we spoke about this already, but this is one of the things I'm very much excited about, and it's something that has been in the pipeline for at least 14 years, and we're finally seeing the light at the end of the tunnel where that is concerned. I also would say the ability to provide opportunities for small business initiatives with my constituents and many different areas through the initiatives that I've done. La Promenade put about 10 different business owners in business, and they've been successful. And since this was erected, you'd see a flow over of new businesses along the side of Riverbank. We counted at least 16 to 18 new businesses which were erected in that area. You also see the commercial spaces under the City Breeze Apartments. We have some new entrepreneurs there as well. And through the other ventures that I am part of, the Christmas Village created an opportunity, and Spots as well. Christmas Village created an opportunity every year for 60 to 70 vendors, people who would not have the opportunity to have a space to be able to showcase their things to customers, to allow them to be able to touch and feel their products. And so it's People's Park as well was another major accomplishment. People's Park is an area where, you know, you see families coming out, grandparents that you would never see in the city are now bringing their grandchildren in a safe and secure place. You'd see families, single mothers with their children, single fathers, and you'd actually see children from the cruise ships utilizing this area with their parents. And so it's all about empowering people's lives, and even the children, actually, I can speak about, because my electrician at the Christmas Village is a 10-year-old boy from Benz, and he's been with us with his father, who's our electrician for the past 2 years. And this time when I was walking through the setup, his father was his supervisor. So he was doing all my electrical work for me. Very proud of this boy. And then we also created an avenue for another little entrepreneur, my friend on Cock Street. He usually sells off the street, so we brought him, gave him his own booth. He's a little businessman. During his time off for school, we gave him his own booth. He's able to sell all his crafts. So there's quite a bit. Curtis, I don't want to prolong this press conference anymore because then I could tell you plenty other things that's going on in Roseau, sports. We're working on High Street right now to bring back tennis, pickleball I'm going to introduce, as well as roller skating, roller blading, and squash, table tennis. Is going to be an area that will cater to both locals and tourists. We want it to be a tourist stop as well, so we're going to incorporate the cultural aspect in there as well, where tourists can come in, partake in sports, experience our culture, our foods, different things, and you're going to also find some new entrepreneurs there as well, all those who are not able to. We have quite a few artisans in Dominica who make beautiful pieces that is not on display anywhere. The tourists would not have access to it because there's no more space on Bayfront. So this would give them the opportunity to be able to come out and showcase their piece, even to Dominicans as well. Like this guy from Granby has beautiful sandals. You only know if you know him or you're on his WhatsApp. So all these different people with all these great skills and talents, I want to bring them out in Roseau so we can showcase what they have and to help empower their business more. Thank you.
Thank you to Honorable Popon Skerrit. Of course, thank you to the other reps from the Ministry of Housing, Dr. Joseph, Dr. Paul, for your assistance, and of course, Dr. Jean-Pierre from the Digital Transformation Project. All thanks to the Cabinet Secretary for her coordination, and those of you who made the time to attend and to show some support. Of course, to the members of the media, we will keep you informed about the next outing, another project, quite a few projects on the way, and we are committed to keeping the public informed on this. So thank you, everyone. Thank you to GIS and DBS Radio, Cairo FM, for always being steady and present. We appreciate you. Good morning, everyone. Do have a wonderful week.